This is a graded vinyl record. The latest craze is to grade and encapsulate your vinyl records, to preserve them, to preserve the music. And these are beginning to pop up on eBay, on auction sites like Heritage Auctions. And being somebody who is an avid vinyl record collector for the last decade, I find this really interesting. And I think there are probably certain reasons why you would grade a vinyl record and many reasons why you probably wouldn't. So I know there's three vinyl record grading companies. So one is AMG Audio Media Grading, and that one I think is either founded by or a large investor is Steve Aoki, and you can see him with those items and those products on social media. Another one is Tuned In Grading, which shout out to Jeff Skin Wade, Freaks Come Out at Night. And then another one is AAGS, the Audiophile Archive and Grading Service. What's the point of grading a vinyl record? And the only reason you would want to do that is that if you had a rare pressing of something that would never be listened to by yourself or by somebody who you would later sell it to. Meaning if there's a rare sealed copy of a record, the reason I graded the Michael Jackson Thriller is that in my collection, I had a sealed copy from 1982 with like a cool hype sticker. And with Thriller being like the most sold record of all time, I thought, well, I'm not going to open something that's been sealed for 40 years to listen to it. I will just grab another 80s copy that's been open for a listening version and keep the sealed one as a part of a collection. It's cool to me to have something that is so popular like a Michael Jackson sealed Thriller and to have the hype sticker on it and just know that how long it's been around in its condition. And I think that's where grading, that's where grading makes sense in vinyl records. Is if you have something rare that's not going to be listened to and it's worth archiving and encapsulating for the artistic value, for the nostalgia value, then that would be a reason why you would want to do that. Another example would be like a butcher cover, a Beatles butcher cover. If you have a first state, second or third state, really good condition Beatles butcher cover, to me, if you want to listen to Yesterday and Today, you can go buy a non-butcher cover version of Yesterday and Today and listen to it. But with the rarity and the scarcity of these butcher covers, I mean, encapsulating them and grading them to ensure that they remain in the best condition that they're in, to me makes a lot of sense. However, I also think the introduction of grading into vinyl records is kind of overkill too. I feel like in the collectible space, everything is being graded now to where from video games to VHS tapes, comic books and cards and coins have always been graded. But to add vinyl records along with it, there's potentially a place for it, but like new records that are being graded and encapsulated, like Taylor Swift's like 1989 represses or hip-hop new releases. And to me, it just doesn't make sense to encapsulate those if they're right now being produced at mass scale, unless a person really just wants to spend $100 to grade and encapsulate a record that you could go buy at Target or go buy at your record store. It would be your personal preference if you want to do that. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So the need to grade and encapsulate vinyl records really comes from, I think, using these as investment pieces. So to pull a quote from the Coin Collector Survivor Manual, which is a great book that goes into the details of coin collecting, they talk about like when did coin grading get introduced, and to paraphrase, like the need for precision grading became apparent in the 70s as a large number of well-to-do outsiders started buying coins as investments. In the coin world and in the stamp world, in the coin world, a lot of the demand for a grading service was being able to accurately assess the condition of a coin, but B, as you had more people coming into the coin space with the intent of buying them as an alternative asset class, being able to assign a grade to it and encapsulate it made that a lot simpler. And these days it makes it a lot simpler, as you can't always inspect the coin. But when you have the NGC grading service on it, that tells any sort of collector, novice or otherwise, what kind of condition it's in before they buy it, and they don't have to inspect it in person. It just seems like with grading and vinyl records are now being used as investment pieces. And I think that kind of takes away a lot of the fun from collecting and listening to vinyl records. Like, what's the point of having something that you can't play? It's really to archive the historical context and its current condition. So why wouldn't you grade a vinyl record? Frankly, if it's anything that's mass-produced and has no rarity to it, or is something that you'll listen to or somebody else will listen to, it likely shouldn't be graded. Why would you spend $100 to grade something that you're going to listen to? Or that when you sell it, you bought it for $20, you're going to spend $100 to grade it, and now it's worth $60, and they might even still crack it out of the case. It doesn't make any sense. The reason you would grade a record is because it's a rare record, because it's scarce, because it's in a very, very good condition. It's sealed, and it should be maintained that way to preserve its value. So who's buying graded records? Are true vinyl record enthusiasts and collectors buying graded records? I wonder if we're going to see a shift in the behavior of a vinyl record collector. Or I think like many old school, like sports cards or baseball card collectors, I don't think really gave a rip about grading, and then grading really popped off, and now it's almost the norm that any card gets graded. Grading a modern sports card that has no rarity, to me, is the exact same thing as grading and encapsulating a 1989 Taylor Swift reissue. It doesn't make any sense, but it's going to happen because it can happen. And will these hold their value? The things that would have held their value without grading will hold their value with grading. And maybe the prices will go up some. Beetle Butcher covers, sealed records from the 50s and 60s and 70s that are prominent in pop culture will likely continue to be the things that are collected. Anything that's made from like the last 15 years that's graded and encapsulated, it's likely not going to have any value in 10 to 20 years. Nobody's going to care. This is all really just a speculative boom in the vinyl record collecting space. So in short, do I like vinyl record grading? To an extent, yes. But if you're grading anything limited to 1,000 colored vinyl of Metallica, Taylor Swift, you name the artist that's creating some sort of like mass-produced limited item, if you grade it, it's not going to hold its value well as the things that would already have held their value well in the first place. Like, what do you think of all this? Do you like the fact that everything's being graded now? Does it make sense that these kind of tangible items that we enjoy and now going to be in these like sterile cases, or should we be treating these items like museum pieces? So that's some of my thoughts. Let me know. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you'll have a great one.